Hi guys, Joseph here from Jouleconcepts. How are we doing today? In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at how to model this table lamp. This is part of an animation which this creator created. So I just felt to take this table lamp as part of what we're going to be looking at today. So the name of the creator is Clim Studio. So you can see from here is from Barcelona and is a very good creator. You can check him on Behance and just follow him and see a few of the things that he has done. So we're going to be looking at how to use Blender to recreate this, texturing it, lighting in our own ways, and then rendering. So that's just what we're going to be doing. So if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe to this channel because I do tutorials like this every time. And also, without taking much of your time, let's just get into the tutorial and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is to delete everything I have in the scene. And then I'm going to split my screen to this side. I'm going to change this viewport to image editor so that I can bring in the image here. And then while I'm working, I can see the reference image. So I'll just go to my window explorer and go to where the image is in my pictures and screenshots. So I have this. So I'm going to drag this over here. And then that is what I'm going to have. So I'm going to split this into three parts. I'll model this body and this part and then the ball. And then I'll have this other one done. So I'm going to start by creating a cylindrical object, Shift A, and then mesh, I go to cylinder. And now I'm just quickly going to change some settings. So before I start changing some settings, I'm going to first off, so I'm actually going to undo that. I'm going to change my unit setup, very important, to centimeter. So I'll just change it to centimeter so that I can work to scale, just a rough scale. So Shift A, mesh, cylinder, and then I have this. So the base, I'm going to make this a diameter, let's say 17 thereabout. So I'll just come to the radius, bring this radius down to like let's try 17 first. It looks really tiny, but the depth, I'm going to bring the depth down to like 40. Okay, so maybe I want to bring this down even more to like 14. Um, so maybe we can take this up a little bit to like 49. So I'm just eyeballing to see what we have here. 64 is not bad. And then we have this. Then for the vertex, I'm going to increase this vertex, just multiply this by 4. And then I have 128. And then minus, trying to get an even number. And at the same time, I do not want to have too many segments. I think 96 is fine for me because looking at what we have, I'm going to have very tiny stuff here. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to go to edit mode by hitting tab and then look at the image. I want this base to be smooth. So I'm going to control R to have loop cuts on the middle. I'll just press escape to just keep that at the middle right there. So what I'm going to do next is to quickly start. Let's start with the base. I'm going to go to my my face mode, select this face, and do inner extrusion, and just do one and do another inner extrusion, very tiny inner extrusion for insets. So the shortcut is I for insets. So this is it here, insets. So I'm going to hit tab to click on, I'll hold down Alt while I'm in my face mode, select this edge so that I have the whole edge selected, and I'll just use my E for extrude to extrude this upwards one time, E again, extrude up again, and do one more extrusion. So that's just what I need. And for this top, I'm going to bring this down, select this and use my move tool to just move this down a little bit like so. All right, so I think that's pretty much what I need for that. And for this top also, we can't really see this, but we can already kind of improvise and just imagine what that top will look like. So I'm going to do inserts that goes in, do another insert all the way here, one more little insert, which I'm going to extrude, and then last insert like so, and then I'm going to extrude that up all the way there so that I can get this. So I'll do one more insert just to get the interior part of that, then extrude this downwards, and that's what we need for that. And so why I do this insert is so that I can extrude this also in, but notice this is black, so I also want to create an interface where the black starts from. So I'll just hit E and extrude this inwards a couple of times to have that done. All right, so it doesn't really look much like this, but we'll get there in a bit. So while I have my face selected, so what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be selecting each of these faces and skipping one. But before I do the selection, I want to have supporting edge at this base and this top. So I'll hit Control R and scroll my way to have two cuts there. Press Escape, go to my scale tool, and then scale this up so that I can have just very close at that point. And then before I now start selecting the face. So I'll go to my face mode, hit 3 to go to my face mode, select the first face, skip the next, select. So that's how I'm going to keep selecting all of this face. Please, if there's someone who knows how to just do this selection where I will select all of this face and skip the other, please, I would really appreciate if you could put that in the description. But if not, this is the only way I know. And I would love for Blender to have that feature. I don't know if they already do, but then if you know a better way of selecting these faces, please drop that in the description below. Thank you. So I'm going to select all of this face and skip one, select the next, skip one till I have everything selected. So because they are even number, you notice all of these guys are selected. So while I have them selected, I'm going to extrude. But if I use my normal extrude, see, this is what I'm going to have. I'm just going to be extruding on one side, and I do not want that. So I want to extrude along its normal. So how do I do that? I'll hold down Alt key before I tap my E. I'm going to have this extrude setting. Then I'll choose extrude faces along normal. Once I choose that, I will just move my mouse a little bit to move this outside. Like so, okay? So that's fine. So once I have that done, that's pretty much how to do that part. So if I go to my object mode right now, it doesn't really look much. But by the time I go to my modifier, add a subdivision surface modifier, then we'll start to see the way it looks. You can see it's beginning to look quite alright, but it's just that this part I need to tell Blender that I don't want to have the sharp edge. I want to have a roundness. So, and it's very simple. If you go to your edit mode, just add another loop cut, Control R, click, and then move this down till you have this right there. So you notice that my screen is beginning to drag, and it's because I have so many subdivisions and so many segments. So it will normally do that. So what I can do, so I'll just, once I'm okay, I'll click. So what I'll do so that I can quickly do the next one without having to wait is I'll turn off the effects from my edit mode. Then if I hit R, I can quickly put this right here. And then once I'm done, I can now show it. Then it's going to show me the way the effects will look like. And that is done. That's there. And then the next thing is I also want to turn this off. I'm going to select these edges by holding down Alt, then Control B to bevel that edge like so. And I also do the same thing for these edges like so. Hold down Shift, Control B to bevel these edges like that. And let's show this again and see how it looks like. Okay. But I don't really like the way this base is looking like. So I'll bevel that edge also. Control B and bevel that edge. So you see it's kind of dragging a little bit. So I want to scroll my wheel while I'm beveling so that I can have more subdivisions. And then I'll just increase this till I have the kind of effect I'm looking for. Once I'm okay, I'm going to click. And then I have that done. And also you notice this artifact you have is because I'm having so many faces connecting to just one face. So we have a lot of end gone. So I'll just go back, turn this off a couple of times, go to face, select this and hit I to bring this in so that I can get rid of that artifact. If I see this now, you see it looks much better, and that's it. So I think that's pretty much it for this, but the only thing is just for this top, which is not quite looking right. So I'll click here, just do a couple of beveling. So I'll go to my edge mode, select this edge and that edge also. Control B to bevel those two edges. Reduce the segment because I'm still going to throw this into subdivision surface. So I'll come here also, Control B, bevel that, and maybe that's fine. So let's see, we'll know in a bit. All right, you can see this now looks much better. If I go to my object mode, you can see it's now looking more like what you have here. All right. So what I can do is for me to get rid of all of these, I could first off take this to 2 and then right click, shade auto smooth to get rid of all of these facet edges that you see here. And that's pretty much how I'm going to do this part. And then the next part is this exterior part right here. And I'm also going to, while I'm in my object mode, Shift A, use cylinder also. And this time I'm going to increase the radius of my cylinder to like, let's say 45. So I'm coming quite too much. So, so I'm going to take this to like, changing this value. I'll just click into this because I don't know why it's kind of. So let's try 45. And then I'm going to change my depth to like, let's say 30 centimeters. And let's see what we have. So I feel 45 is too much. So we can half that 45. Look at the scale. So, and also look at this image. So if we come here, we can change this by trying divided by 2 so that we see how it looks. It's going to be like half of that 45. Not really bad, but I'm thinking we can still go 25. And then the depth, which is 30, is quite much in my opinion. So I'm just going to bring this down to like, let's say still 25 or 20. So I will just try 20. Okay, so I think I'll go 25 and then I'll just continue with that. But another thing is I do not want this many segment for this because 96 is too much. So I'll just try 32 and just stick with that. And then I can move this up all the way here. Right. I might need to still scale this up. So what I'll just do is just use my scale and then Shift C because I don't want to scale along the height. So I'll just increase this till I'm fine. I'm thinking this is not bad. This is good. So while I have that done, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my object mode. Now, if I hit my N key, notice my scale has been changed because I use the scale tool. So I'll just hit Control A and then apply my scale. So everything turns to 1. So if I go hit Tab to go to my edit mode, I will select the face, select this face and that face. X, I want to delete the faces. So I just have this surface like so. I'm thinking I could still take this higher. I'm not sure, but let's just scale this Shift Z. Okay, so I'm thinking this is fine. And maybe SZ, increase this a little bit like so. I think that's good. So Control A again, apply scale. And now once I have this done, the next thing is just to thicken it, because right now I cannot just have it this flat, so it has to be a little bit of thickness to it. So how do we do that? I'm going to use modifier and I'm going to use solidify. So for the solidify modifier, I'm going to bring the thickness to like 0. Maybe 3, thereabouts, maybe 0.2, and that's good. And then I could still see if I can add a subdivision surface, and then we'll have that, and this is better. But now the issue with this is now adding the subdivision surface after the solidify, and that's not what we want. We want to add subdivision before solidify. So I'll just change this in the start, and so we'll keep our solidify by. And that's how I'm going to do that. And then the next thing will be this guy right here. So how I'm going to achieve that would be to have a chord somewhere here, and then I can borrow that chord. So if I select this / to isolate it, and then if I hit start to go to edit mode, Control R, add that loop, and then move the loop up till I'm fine. So I've clicked, I'm just waiting for it to respond, but we have a lot of things to calculate for now. So I'll just click so that I can turn off this. I forgot to turn off the modifier here. All right, so I have it turned off now. So I will just use my move tool to move this up to where I want this to be. So once I'm fine where it is, I'm going to duplicate this edge because I need it to get this outer part. So I'll Shift D to duplicate that and press Escape just to leave it at that point. So while it's still selected, hit P to separate. I'm going to say separate by selection. So now we are going to have another option, another object right there. So we have 2 objects. One is for the main body and one is for the separated object that I have. So why did I separate this? Because I'm going to be converting this to curve in order to have geometry on this object. So let's quickly do that. So while this is selected, right click, convert to curve. And now converting that curve will give us a setting here under geometry. Go to the bevel and start increasing the depth. Will give us this setting, which we can use to get that thickness. All right. So I'm going to go 0.1, maybe 0.15, and that's fine. So once we're done with this, I'm still going to convert this back. And the reason why I'm going to convert this back is because I'm going to be extruding some parts out. So right click, convert to mesh. So once I have that converted to mesh, I now need to go to edit mode. I can select faces on this object. So just period to. So if I go to face mode, I can select a couple of faces here. Right. So I'm thinking of having this into my selection. So I have that face selected. And then I'm also going to select more faces. But first, I'll just do this separately. So I want to extrude this along its normal. So I need to change my orientation to normal. So that by the time I extrude, it's going to extrude this along that normal. So I'll just go up, let's say 7 to start with. And then I have that. So let's do another selection. So I have this selection right here. I'm also going to extrude this, go all the way 7. Then I have the second one, and then I'm going to have the third one. So I'm not putting specifics into consideration here. I'm just trying to get the overall shape. Okay, so just note that. So I'll take this all the way here, and that's fine. Move out, 7, press enter, and then I am done with that. So if I hit my forward slash to bring this back, so I can already tell what is happening here. So I will just hold down Alt to go to top view so that I can move this out all the way to touching this object right there. And then I'm also going to go to my wireframe, select all of these faces, and then I'm also going to drag that out there. So I mean, it's actually X-ray mode. And so the reason why I'm selecting the X-ray mode is so that by the time I'm highlighting, it also highlights all the way down, so I can drag this out. So I'm just using the period key on my number pad to focus on the selected object. So once I have that selected, I can also select this by holding down Shift, and also select this last one by holding down Shift. So you notice that these are going up. I want them to come down. So I'll just move all of them down. So. And I think that is fine. So we can just go back and start to position them again. So I'll select this, move this in. That is done. Select that, move this also in. And I'll take this back a tad because we have that. And that's how I'm going to do that. So, and that's solved. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is the bulb, and it's as simple as creating a UV sphere. So Shift A, go to UV sphere. But now this sphere is really large, so I'm going to reduce the radius of this UV sphere, like up to this point, and let's move this up a little bit so that we can have a sense of. I feel it feels too big, so I will just scale this down a little bit more. I think that's good. Okay, so that's good. And so what I'll do now is for the UV sphere, I'm going to isolate it forward slash, and then hit start to go into one of this mode, go to X-ray mode. And then if I hit, tab to go to edit mode, I can select all of this surface, and then I can extrude that downwards like so. If I go to my edge mode, I can select this edge and move that edge down a little bit, Ctrl P to bevel that edge so that I can have a smooth transition like so. And then that's pretty much how that will be done. Nothing more, nothing special. And then click on this X-ray mode to go back, forward slash to come back here. And you notice that it feels too big. So I'll just scale this down till it seems like it can enter into this. That's fine. That is it. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my scale, Ctrl A, scale, and then while it's selected, right click, auto smooth, so that it's smoothing that surface. And that is how I will do this. So if I feel that I want this top of this to go up, I'll just tab. In my edge mode, select all of this top edge, then I can move them up. So let's change this to global. I can just move them up more, like so. And then I'm done. That's how I will do this. So the next thing would now be to texture the products. So I'm going to start with the light object. So I'll just select the light object. thinking of scaling this up a little bit and also moving this. Control A, apply the scale. All right. So before, okay, let's just quickly texture that. So I will go to my texture mode, click on new. And once I have that created, I'm going to change my surface shader from principled BSDF to emission so that I'll have that emission. And I'm going to change this color to like that orangish red color. And then take this way up. And I don't see anything right now because I'm in shaded mode. So if I go to my material, I'll see this. But for my material, I will not see the interaction of the light. So if I click on this render view, I'm going to see the way the light interacts. But right now, I'm not seeing interaction. Also, because in my render settings, I want to switch from EV to cycle. As soon as I do that, you notice I begin to see the light interacting with neighboring objects, and that's what I want. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is let's quickly set the environment, because right now this environment is not quite what I want. It's just dark. So I'll go to my world settings and I'm going to change the color from this by clicking on this yellow to environment texture. So I'm going ahead to download some HDRI textures and from Polyhaven. So you can also go there and check. They have free good texture. So once I go to the environment, I'll click on open. Then I'll navigate to where my textures are. So these are a few of these HDRI that I've downloaded. So I'll just circle to check how they look like. So once I do that, it's going to take a little bit of time to calculate. And then I'm beginning to see the effects on this product. You can see that we have everywhere evenly lit. And if I do not want to have this showing, so I could just come to my render settings, go to the film and click on transparent. So it would not show the background. So, and that's that. So I think this is good for now. And later we can change the light scenario. So I'll right click on this guy, shade auto smooth so that it's smoothing that out. All right. So in my world setting, I can also decide to change the strength. So if I bring the strength way down, so the effect will not be much. Notice the strength is set to 0, so I don't see that. So if I bring this to like 0.2, I just have like a little bit of that effect on this. And I do not want to go for one strength of 100% because it's too much. I also want to see the interaction of the lights through this object. So I'll try 0.3. I think 0.3 will be fine for me. And now we can go to the next product, which is this. So I want to create a see-through light, so more of a material that's see-through when your light shines, more like a coating material, so to say. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to go into my material sets, create a new material, principled BSDF. I want to leave my lights, my bright base color to be white because it's actually white. And then what I will just do is scroll down. I want to take my roughness way up because it's not a reflective object. So I'll just take the roughness up. It's not reflective. So I'll take my specular down so that I don't calculate anything that's not necessary. So the next thing, the catch here is the transmission. So the transmission is what will make the light transmit through. Because right now, if you see, I'm not seeing the light through this object. But by the time I increase my transmission, I start to see the light through this object. All right, so you can see that. So now we also have option to increase or to change the roughness of my transmission. Is just to brush off the intensity of the light right there. So I'll just take this way up like that. So another thing I will do to also accentuate to kind of intensify the light that's coming in is to also introduce a bit of emission. So I'll change my emission color to that same white. But I do not want 100% emission. So I'll just come to this emission strength. So like maybe 0.2 or 0. 0.05 thereabout, and that will just add that bit right here. Okay, so that is how I would do that right here. I think I can still come down a little bit to 0.02. All right, I think that's fine. Just a little bit of an animation from there, and that will solve that. And so the next thing is to create this wire, which is a very simple thing. It's just a metallic object. So let's quickly do that. If I select this and just create a new material, what I just need here is to increase my metallic and then the specular. That's just the only thing I need to do. And then for the roughness, I can actually leave it as is. And that's how you get your metal, right? And once you zoom in close to it, you're going to see there's actually a metallic object. So let's focus on this right here. So you notice that this has two different materials. So this plasticish material and this black also material. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go back into my shaded mode and isolate this so that I can select these objects. So if I go to the subdivision, so this is good. I don't want to have to calculate in my edit mode. So if I go to edit mode now, I can select the parts that I want to have a material on. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is before that is let me first add my material, which is this. So if I go into my material set, add a new material, and I want to change the color. So if I click here, first off, I want to sample that color, and it gives me more like the color that I'm looking for. And now it will add that color all around the object. So once I'm done with this, first off, let's quickly set this material. And I want to bring the specular up so that it will be reflective. I don't need metallic because it's a plastic object. But what I just need is the roughness. I'll bring the roughness down so it looks more like a metallic object. So you can begin to see what's happening. So I feel we can still take this a little bit up, like so. And I'm thinking that this is too saturated, so I'll just bring this value up a little bit, like so. Take the saturation down, not too much, and also bring the value up so that it will be bright, a bright shade of that. So I think this is close, and that's that. So once we are done with that, the next thing is to now select those faces so that we can have a different material to it. So I'll just call this orange plastic. So if I go to my edit mode, I can select all the faces that I need, hold down Alt, make sure I'm in my face mode, hold down Alt to select that, not that actually, so I want to zoom in. This is what I want. Alt and Shift to select all of these faces and then Shift select that. I'll do the same thing here because I know this is also, so Alt and Shift to select this face, this, this, this. This. So I'll just make sure I have everything selected all the way up because everything like you're seeing here, they are tend to be black. So I'm not really going to see that part, so that's fine. So once I have all of these guys selected, I will create a new material and new. I'll call this black and then I'll assign. Then it's going to turn it. So you see that it is white. The reason is the base color is white. If we change this base color down, and we'll start to see that black effect. So if we go back to our object mode, and this is what we have. So for this, we also want to make it look like a plastic material, but it's just a different shade. So I'm going to take my specular up so that it's reflective and also bring this down. So, and that is how I'm going to do that. So if I hit my / to bring this back, and I am done with that. So let's go back to render view. So this is what we're going to have. And we have that product like so. So what I'm going to start doing is, because I want to have this composition, I'm going to have to rotate this. But the first thing I'm going to do before the rotation is to parent everything to this main body. So I'll select this, hold down shift, select every other thing before I select the main body. Notice the main body is yellow, every other part is orange. Then I can now control P, and then I can choose object keep transform. So what that will do now is I have this. If I move, every other part is connected to them. So I want to have this background, this light background. So I'm going to Shift A, create a plane object. And I want this plane object to be rotated around my X. And then I'll just make this 90 degrees. And then I'm going to scale this up. Like so, move this backwards. Still scale this up because my camera will be somewhat here. And then I want to have that my background. All right, so just move this. So the background will have a material, and this is not bad. So let's just have a little bit of the things. And we do not need it to be shiny, so I'll take the roughness way up, take this down so it's not reflective. So what I'm going to do is, let's set my camera. So I really do not need this anymore. So what I'll just do is to change this back to 3D. And then let's quickly create a camera. So Shift A, create a camera object. And that camera object is right there. So we can move that camera object here. So I'm going to zero out all of these rotations. So the camera is looking at that point. So I'm going to rotate here to 90. So in this view, I'm going to see what the camera is looking at. So it's O, and this will show me what the camera is seeing. So while I'm changing it, I'm having my composition set right there. So I'm going to quickly go to my camera, and I'm going to change this to, like, let's say 80. So the 80 will look more like it's very close to it. So I'll just move this back, and this is what the camera is seeing. And then I will rotate this guy right here. So if I go to my rotation, I want to rotate about my Y first, and then change this to normal, and then also rotate like so, so that I can have similar feel like we have on that render. And so once I'm done with that, let's quickly see a preview of how it's going to look like through here. So while I'm changing all of this, I'll be seeing the output here. So I'm thinking I should change the focal length of my camera. So let's try 65. Oh, sorry. I want to get close, so I'll just make it like 100. Let's take this 120. All right, so that's not bad. So if I go to my move tool, I can move this up a little bit just so that I can center it. And also I can go into my camera and then set my viewport display composition. I want to have my torch. So you can, from here, you can already see that this is not centered. So I'll move this till it is centered like so. And this just to help me get my composition right. All right. So once I have that composition set, so the next thing is I need to start lighting this bad boy. So I'm going to do a basic lighting setup. So first off, a very simple lighting setup where I can try to visualize all of the lights. So I'm going to start by creating one area light. So I want this area light to hit my background. So I'm going to just rotate this right here, hold down Control till it goes 90. And that's fine. I'll go to my move tool and then move this backwards. So I just want this to hit the background. So we're not going to be seeing the lights, so don't worry. And maybe I will scale this light down a little bit. And now I'm not really seeing the interaction of the lights, and the reason is because my environment is really much. So if I come to my environment, I can bring this down to 0 so that I can see what the light is actually doing. So you notice for the lights, if I turn my light down to 0, I'm seeing this, but I'm not seeing the background. But I start taking this light up, so it's hitting the background and giving me the silhouette of this object. So I'll take this to, like, let's try 50 first. And then I still want to reduce the scale of the light so that it's not so much. Um, I really want to make that exaggerated. And for the lights, I'll come to the spread, reduce the spread, because the spread also is also spreading out. So if I take the spread to like 60, and that's too much, so let's try 120. I think that is good. Reduce this also much. So we have that done. And why I'm doing this is so that I can have the silhouette of my lights, of my lamp, and that's so we see the definition around this edge. So that is that. And then I'm going to create another light source. And then this one I'm going to rotate around my Y. Let's try -90. And then I'm going to bring this here so that that will light this product from here. Okay, so I'm going to just move this and then rotate it to keep the light like so. And also move this up. I need to still take this back. And then I'm going to change this to rectangle so that I can squash this down. I don't really want this light to hit any other thing but this product. So I will really bring this down like so. And then another thing I will do is come to the spread. If I take the spread to like 60, and let's see what's happening. 10. So you see that it's really hitting that point, and I'm seeing that shadow coming out. So 10, it might be too much. So let's try like 25 so that it brushes out the edge. We don't have this light too much on that edge. So you can see the highlights of that light right there. Okay, so this is going to be more of my. So if I want the light to spread more, I will just come here, increase this more, and then it's going to spread to smoothen that effect right there. All right. So I have that done. The next thing is I want to have a few lights down here so that this shadow doesn't really go out. So I'm going to create another light, call this another area light, and bring this down over here, and then rotate around my Y, rotate it up like so. And I'm also going to move this outwards a little bit, rotate about my Z so that it also points at that light. You can start to see that you are beginning to fill that up. So I want this to come more outside. So we'll see more of that right there. And then what I can also do is change this to rectangle, increase this. I'm going to really increase this so that, so why I'm increasing this is the intensity will be small, and I'm also going to be using a very, I'm going to be using a blue light source to kind of fill in that stuff so that it will have a very soft feel. All right. So if we look at this light, the intensity we have for this is 10. So let's bring this to like 20. All right. So for this, maybe we'll go with 8 and then change our white light to like a blue tint of light. That's too blue. Let's try 15. Okay, so trying to still If I make this 50, is going to be, okay, that's not bad. So 50 is not really bad. So it's kind of, sorry, it's, can you see the effect of the 50 here? But it's, so the reason why this doesn't now feel like it's too much is because one, the spread is right there. And also I've changed the light from white. So this is still our key light. So I'm going to select this key light and bring this down to like 10 or 15 because I feel that it's kind of too much. I'm having a clipping here and I do not like that. So you are beginning to see that we have some feel coming here. So what I can now do is if I now add my environment lights, which I turned off, and then everything will come well together. 0.3, and let's see everything join together, and this is how everything looks like. So now my environment light is now too much now. So let's try 0.1. So I want to make sure I don't have that too much. So let's try 0.05. So it still play a major role, still add to it, but not too much. And I think I'm going to reduce the brightness of this background because it's looking like the background is too bright. So I'll select the background, go to the color, and then just bring the value down. So it's kind of darkening the background a little bit. So we don't have too much of lights in the background. So this is looking nice. Okay. And now, if you look at the product we have here now, this is what we are going to have, right? So this is how I will light and model and then render all of this. And once I'm done, you just see you have the final output coming out. So I'm going to stop this tutorial here, and I hope you've learned a lot from this tutorial. If you feel this was helpful, please do give me a like and a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe because I do tutorials like this every time. So see you in the next one. Do have a wonderful day and God bless you. Bye.